The reason traditional bodybuilders have a hard time with energy and all these other things when they're cutting, it's because they're not actually, their body is trying to go through fat adaptation and improve metabolic flexibility, but they're not actually letting it because they keep putting carbs back in. They're inefficient at accessing muscle glycogen, and they literally, all the energy's there, they just can't get to it. Mm-hmm. Even if you have ketones supplying 70% of the energy in your brain, you still need that 30% to be glucose. So when we say that carbs aren't preferred, you're absolutely right. Carbs aren't preferred, and carbs are also not preferred because our body doesn't actually use carbs. Our body uses glucose. Our body breaks down glycogen. Our body breaks down triglycerides from adipose tissue and breaks down fatty acids. So being clear, on one end, we don't need carbs. We do need glucose. So your body can make glucose. I don't need to eat carbs. That's the distinction. Mm-hmm. At the same time, for those in the ketogenic and carnivore community, you need to understand just being keto, just following a carnivore diet doesn't eliminate the requirement for glucose and glycogen in your body. You still need them. Your brain still needs them. Your red blood cells need them. Your muscles still need them. You're not replacing glucose with fat. You're changing the priority. You're changing the availability. You're changing the timing of when they're accessed and how they're used. You're changing the management system of how they are utilized and produced and function, but you're not removing the requirement for glucose.
Yeah. I mean, this is why people can be fat adapted for years and still have, 70 to 80 to 90 milligrams per deciliter when they take a glucometer test, because your body's going to fight to maintain certain regulated blood serum glucose levels.
Absolutely. So there's something I hear, and I shiver when I see that. People talking, oh, you don't need carbs. You're right. You don't need carbs, but we still need glucose. And we still need to understand that the benefits from a sports performance perspective from being fat adapted is actually improving how your body uses glucose, how your body and when your body breaks down glycogen for energy. So I saw a post the other day, or somebody asked a question on one of my posts, and it got me thinking. And I realized, bodybuilders, when they cut, traditional carb bodybuilders, this was the question. I was posting about glycogen stores. Mm-hmm. And the fact that the idea of glycogen stores is a myth. There's no such, not glycogen stores, but depletion of glycogen stores for exercise. There is no strength training workout that you're going to do, not counting PEDs, not counting any of the other things that may happen as on that side of things. But as a natural person, as a sport enthusiast, as a bodybuilding enthusiast, there is no strength training, resistance training routine or session that you're going to do where you're going to deplete your glycogen stores enough to impact your workout. Not going to happen. What is going to happen, especially if you are carb centric in your diet, is you will use up the available glucose that's in your bloodstream and not be efficient at accessing the stored glycogen that you have in your muscles because you have not made that system efficient, because you're always pumping glucose into your bloodstream. Right? So what happens is, I'm going to cut, all my lifts suck. I need to take pre-workout. I need to do this. I need carbs before my session because I'm on a cut. I'm in a deficit, so I have no energy. You have no energy because you're not metabolically flexible. It has nothing to do with glycogen storage. Mm-hmm. Right? So understanding, and this is what hit me, is like a bodybuilder on a cut is basically going through keto adaptation.
In an incredibly inefficient manner.
Because they keep shoving carbs back in, right?
Yeah.
But that's what they're doing. When they're in a deficit and they're eating less energy, they are essentially telling their body, hey, I need to burn more body fat. So they're doing the same thing as keto, but they're keep shoving carbs in and messing up the process, which is why they have so much problem doing it.
And they'll oftentimes keep carbs low, but then they'll have protein incredibly elevated and very, very minimal dietary fat. And if their body's not efficient at tapping into stored fat reserves, then they're basically creating glucose through gluconeogenesis, which is an inefficient process and not a great substrate for energy, which is why they all feel like zombies that
Yeah,
last
and
6 weeks.
it's really even just the little amount of carbs that they're throwing in. That is what's messing most of it up, because just having that extra glucose in the bloodstream, it has to do something with it. So it's going to use it, which if it's using that, it's not pulling from glycogen stores. And if there's too much, then it's making it into body fat, and then they're defeating the whole purpose anyways. So yeah, it's just a whole cycle of, wait a second, what are we really doing? Have we thought this through? And no, because it works, and it's become a suck fest. Embrace the suck. And that's what it takes to get through it. But Greg knows, Natalie knows, I know, it doesn't have to be that way.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We cut.
It's night and day, man. It's night and day.
Right?
Yeah,
I mean, we go through, I'm cutting right now. I've dropped 4% body fat in the last 6 weeks. Right? I just ate a pound, before we got on this call, I just ate a pound of ground beef and 6 eggs. I'm not having any problem feeling hungry. I just came back from the gym. I had one of the best workouts I've had in a month. Right? No problems. On a cut, having a blast. And it doesn't have to be a suck fest.
Yeah. I mean, you can still be hungry when you're super depleted, and you still be hungry. But like the psychological aspect of it, where you're just in zombie mode and delirious, that doesn't happen when you go about it and you're fat adapted going into the deficit. I mean,
and unless you're really, really low, and you're like when you're a couple days before your show, or you're getting really low, it doesn't even mess with your workouts as much.
Yeah.
Like you can still go crank out a workout and be fine. Like it's not. Yeah. So understanding that the reason traditional bodybuilders have a hard time with energy and all these other things when they're cutting, it's because they're not actually, their body is trying to go through fat adaptation and improve metabolic flexibility, but they're not actually letting it because they keep putting carbs back in. They're inefficient at accessing muscle glycogen, and they literally, all the energy's there, they just can't get to it.
Mm-hmm.
So that is also one of the reasons why athletes don't like doing keto studies. And it's hard to get athletes to say, yes, I'll agree to 12 weeks or 16 or 18 weeks of doing a new diet, because they feel like crap for the first 4 to 8 weeks, and nobody wants to go through that. So there's that.
So in regards to the muscle glycogen, like traditional athletes will, talk about how flat they're looking, and they just don't have that fullness that they do when they bring in carbs. If they're not really ever depleting muscle glycogen to begin with, what accounts for that?
That's still water. It's just water. Is that what you're talking about? I mean, the minute you cut carbs, you're dropping water, and you're going to lose size.
Yeah. I mean, when I do it, like I'm manipulating electrolytes to capitalize on bringing any fluid in my subcutaneous layer skin into my muscle tissue to provide that voluminous look. But yeah, I mean, I don't use carbs to fill out from a muscle glycogen standpoint when I'm in a prep, and it hadn't hindered me at all.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. It's just, and this is something I have not spent any time doing research on. It's on my list of potential things a rabbit hole I may want to go into one of these days. But at a surface level of me looking at just general information, I've always had in the back of my mind this idea that, because let's give you an example. I've been around bodybuilding for a long time. I've been in some long-term relationship. It's interesting now that I'm thinking about this. Most of my long-term relationships have been bodybuilders. I think I have a type. The changes that I see in bodybuilders at all different levels over years is so minimal in the size, the shape, the whatever. The difference is usually conditioning. And when you see someone, natural or not, and they show their pictures, or you see the side by side, what did they look like yet last year or the year before that, or when they first came into the game, and all these things, right? Most of it is definition. Most of it is some shaping and some proportional things, but overall size isn't really that different. And I hear bodybuilders say all the time, I always gain more if I have carbs. But then you cut and you lose 80% of it.
Mm-hmm.
So what if we just said, screw the whole cutting, bulking cycle, and we just said, let's find a homeostatic balance between intake that allows me to maintain my body fat and build muscle over time. Then I can actually see what's muscle, not what is inflammation, not what is coming from water retention, not what all of these things that have nothing to do with the actual muscle. And then when I cut, I'm not actually losing all of that muscle. I just refine the fuel intake and cut my fat a little bit.
Yeah,
because I see all these people, I gained 30 pounds in the off season. Well, yeah, then you lost 35 to get shredded again. And there was no muscle gain at the end of that.
There's no benefit to having a sloppy bulk because then you just have to diet longer and more aggressively to take it off. And then you're going to wind up losing more lean tissue, especially if traditional, carbohydrate based approach. And like when I look at my show weights, like my stage day weights year after year, I mean, there's not a massive increase in tissue. I mean, oftentimes I'll be lighter in later shows than I was earlier. I've gotten leaner, but I'm not putting on like 20 pounds of skeletal muscle tissue between competitions. Like that's just not happening, not naturally. And I do think there is tremendous benefit to having a dedicated building and cutting phase, because from a metabolic standpoint, having periods of time at a surplus and deficit is advantageous. But most people take it far, far too out of the range and realm of whatever's healthy by any means.
I'm